Shalom, good morning folks. So excited to be back with Dr. Tuvia Book. You find yourselves with us here in the Bik'ah in the Jordan Valley. Today we're heading to Alexandrium.
Here we are in the land of Israel a week before Hanukkah, and right behind us, that conical shaped hill right over there was built by a Maccabee, was built by one of the Hasmoneans. As we go and explore not just our history, where we come from, damn me Ayin Bat to know where you come from, but
Moshav Yafit, settled in the 1990s. It's one of the largest agricultural settlements here in the Jordan Valley. And as Tuvia mentioned, history connecting it with where we are today. Have a look, a flourishing settlement in this beautiful desert landscape, giving you a very hopeful feeling that the future is bright and beautiful. Beautiful flock of black kites. Now we're heading into the wilderness. You can see the peak of Alexandrium Sartaba ahead of us. Spectacular scenery. Okay folks, if you look at the route profile here, we've covered 5 kilometers. We've climbed from minus 67 meters, and our aim is to get to the peak, 400-meter climb. But now the hard work begins. We're following the red and white trails. Every 50 meters or so we've spotted them, so it's very well maintained, well marked, but always best to have a map with you, or we have our friendly Garmin Phoenix 6 with the route that we pre-planned, so we just follow the prompts as we go along. Look at that climb behind us. Steeper and steeper as we go along. Woo! Dr. Book is looking for diagnostic shards. I'm just looking for the top. Oh, look at the size of this one. What are we talking here, Dr. Book? Check at this. Think quick.
here we have a 2,200-year-old Hellenistic fragment all the way from the Greek island of Rhodes. And this, believe it or not, was once part of a...
Jeez. You have no idea how steep this path is. We're talking a 50-degree angle, maybe even 60. Ah, there we go. Can run the section. I'll give it a try. Alrighty, here we are at the peak of Alexandrium. We'll first start with a view southwest of us in the direction of Jerusalem. You can make out the peak of Mount Olives, Har Zaitim, but behind me, the clear backbone, the heartland of the Promised Land, Gav Hahar, the spine of Israel. We're looking towards the northern Sumerian settlements. Now I want to focus on this incredible wall behind me, a wall that should excite you because it is connecting us with a period, really what we're entering next week, the festival of Hanukkah. Hellenization. This was the issue 2,200 years ago, a culture that clashed with the local Israelites and really meant that a revolt would break out between these two ideologies, the first ideological battle in the history of man. And this wall can connect us with that story. But if you look at the timeline here, this is the timeline of the land of Israel. Many periods we can deal with, but today we're going to be focusing on the Hellenistic period, which is just after Alexander the Great, 333 BCE, the incoming culture of Hellenism, landing up with a clash during the Seleucid rule. Am I correct in saying that? The Maccabees revolt against this culture. What is it all about? What do these stones behind me tell us? And I think let's get a closer view of it, Dr. Book. Let's go right up and see a stone that can really tell us it does belong to that period.
Okay, here we are, folks, at the southwestern corner of a monumental structure. undoubtedly the fortress of Alexander Ioneus, the fourth Hasmonean king. How do we know that this is Hasmonean? Because they left their signature. This is their signature. Look at this stone over here. These stones are laid out in what's called headers and stretchers. The long ones are stretchers, the short ones are headers. Dry construction, no cement, and the classic Hasmonean signature. Around here is a margin beautifully chiseled. In the middle, left rough, is something called a boss. This has one purpose, and that's for aesthetic reasons only. And this is the signature that says the Hasmoneans were here. Later on, Herod beautified it even more by flattening out the boss, so you get the types of stones you see in the cave of Machpelah and the Temple Mount itself. But we are now around 100 BCE in our history, and this is a fortress built by none other than King Alexander Ioneus.
So was he the boss, or who's the boss?
His wife, who he named the whole fortress after, because a happy wife is a happy life. In the hill town of Modi'in, which just happens to be where Shmuel and I live today, a family, the Maccabee family, the Hashmonaim, rose up in revolt against both the Hellenistic oppressors and the Hellenized Jews, and celebrated in the story of Hanukkah that happens next week was their unbelievable victory in military terms. And for about 100 years, this land, once again, was ruled by Jews, the descendants of Judah the Maccabee and his brother Shimon, and Shimon's grandson, believe it or not, Alexander Ioneus, built this wall right behind me.
Ain't that a beauty? Standing on a heart-shaped stone from the period of Herod. And Dr. Book and myself have brought you here at the perfect time. It's all about making history relevant. We've seen the walls from Alexander Yanai dealing with the period of Hanukkah. Here I'm standing on a stone from the period of the Second Temple under the rule of King Herod. And let's talk about these stones that surround the lower section of the hill of Sartaba. We're about 30 meters down from the crest of the hill. Let's plug into Herod and the period that we see here. What was the story?
In the year 63 BCE, Pompeius roamed in with the Roman army and basically made Judea a province of the Roman Empire. 20 years later, the Romans appoint a puppet king, Herod, and Herod came to this site, and for exactly the same reasons the Maccabees built here, strategic reasons. It overlooks the whole Jordan Valley. On top of that, this marked the eastern part of the Roman Empire. On the other side, which is today Jordan, was then the Parthian Empire. For strategic reasons, Herod rebuilt the destroyed Maccabean fortress, and he put on this place, on this hill, a beautiful palace. The remains of these carved stones are all from the time of Herod. Now you might see these hearts and think it's very romantic, but very unromantically, this is where he ended up killing his wife Miriam and her two children, Alexander and Aristobulus, in this very place where we're standing right now. So this beautiful site, this beautiful architecture, is also drenched with blood.
Blood. But hope. We brought our followers and friends here a week before Hanukkah. We're dealing with the history of Hellenism. Here we're dealing with a period of the Romans. Behind us we're looking towards the Yabok, which is the stream that runs into the Jordan. We know it well because this week we will read in the Bible Genesis chapter 32 about Jacob struggling with the angel all night. And you know what? We're struggling with that, struggling with history. But for the first time, after almost 4,000 years of talking about this history, of studying this history, of making it relevant, we're here. And we're here overlooking this magnificent view with modern settlements. You can see Shlom Tzion and the regional council of the Jordan Valley. You can see the settlement of Masua. It is green, it is lush, it is hopeful, it is beautiful.
In those days and in these days is what we read in Hanukkah. Next week we'll be reading in our prayers. We'll be lighting our menorah. 2,000 years ago, this is the type of menorah the Jews lit. This is an oil lamp from the Hellenistic period 2,200 years ago, and the light still shines brightly with the Jews. We are taught in the book of Proverbs, Mishlei, Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam, that the candle of God is the soul of man. For 2,000 years, even in exile, the darkness of exile, the Jews had a hope, hatikva, lihiyot am chofshi ba'artzenu. And today, as we celebrate Hanukkah, that hope has become a reality. After 2,000 years in the darkness of exile, the Jewish people, led by our youth, who revived our language, who revived our land, who defend our land, brought us back by Amim Ahem Bazman Hazeh. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. Okay, we'll do a quick stop here at the cisterns. This is about 50 meters down from the peak of the hill. Look at that. Even a nice place to sit. Breathe it all in. No water today, just in the backpack.
Yo! One big sister.
Come in, brethren and sisterin. Come chill, they've got a nice bench for us here. It's time for a picnic. Haven't had a thing to eat. We're going healthy today. Our lunch is very simple and it is walnut crackers. Let's eat. Now that we're done with the guiding, it's time for the running. The aim is to run back to Mifgash Habikah. So we have a 6 kilometer downhill. What a pleasure. Let's do it. Now the pace is good. We've opened up to 4 minutes a kilometer pace. It's nice and simple. You just use the altitude and roll down the hill. Almost in the valley. Check out these palm plantations. Date palms. We've reached the valley of bounty. Check out here, we have melons and dates. Beautiful. The land is giving forth its produce once again. Just about to reach the big highway, Road 90. The last 2 kilometers on the road. Nice and easy on the feet, but not as scenic. Okay folks, we're back at Mifgash Habikah at the Jordan Valley rest stop. Happy to put together a guided trail run of this beautiful area for you. Please remember to subscribe. Thank you so much for following. Much more to come. We're now heading to a spring in Wadi Uja. Time to cool off, time to enjoy. Always a bit of pleasure after a bit of hard work. Oh, and here we are. Hey, Shaked, Manishma. Got family here, family of Dr. Tovia Book, serving in the IDF. He's going to take us around. Manishma. Modern Maccabees. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Manishma. So, we're going to get a real taste of what it's like to be a soldier in modern Israel. We're going to head to the spring. We're going to hit the water. We have some fun. Thank you guys. Hit the subscribe button. Follow along. Alrighty then, we're on the drive. We're heading to Wadi Uja, a piece of Africa. Check this out. How's this? Just next to the road, flowing waters in the desert. Check it out, flow. That's decent flow in the desert. Okay, we have 3 armed soldiers, youngsters serving in the IDF, and we're doing a hike up to Wadi Uja, the spring of Uja. We'll finish off our day here. You can smell the figs. Fresh and beautiful. Ain Uja.
1, 2, 3. Oh!
Nice. Getting intimate with Wadi Uja. Oh, Khemdata Shaked. Almond Sham. Thank you, Shaked. We need a hot cup of tea. It's cold. Beautiful. Check that out. Bubbling with life. You know you're in Israel when you get caught in a sheep jam. Oh yeah, there's a reason I'm late. And this is it.